Welcome back to Totem Pole Sports. Coach Hutchings here with Bald Coach K. Coach, how you doing today?
Oh, everything is good. It's big time football week, man. Saturday. Let's go. Get these games going.
Indeed, battle of the best teams, arguably best teams, but NFL entertainment industry. You're going to see some good games today. We're starting off with the Jaguars at the Chiefs, 4:30 today on NBC. Coach, first question: who you got?
Well, you know what? First thing I want to say is we're going to really test that record. I don't know if you've heard, but I guess Trevor Lawrence undefeated on Saturdays. Actually, you mentioned it. You'd mentioned it before. So we're definitely going to test that out. I like it in a tight game. Man, I'm gonna go with the Jaguars, man. I think they got what it takes. I think their coaching staff is used to very big games. Their defense, I think, is just playing, and the momentum you get when you make a comeback like that. I mean, those guys believe. Hopefully, they read their Jocko Willink. They've obviously been studying up on that. So, when you make a comeback like that, you're hard to bet against. But I don't know. I just got this gut feeling. It kind of reminds me way back in the day. The Denver Broncos were heavy favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars when Mark Brunell was there, and those guys shocked the world. So I don't know. I think we're gonna see some magic tonight in a KC, and it's going to be coming from the boys off of Duval.
Yeah, you've got Kansas City. To all the bookkeepers are an 8.5 point favorite, but I got the same feeling. I think if it's a close game today, that the Chiefs can get knocked off. I said it in our last week, and I just have a feeling that it might happen. Although Patrick Mahomes and that offense, they had 500 yards in their last meeting against the Jaguars. So that defense, the Jaguars can keep it close, get them some 3-and-outs. Then I definitely think that there's a chance for those Jaguars.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also, when you have as many turnovers as those guys did last week, you're hoping you probably got all of them out of your system then. So it's definitely going to be it's going to come down to the very end, and I believe that's going to have a lot to do with the ball control and who can kind of run that clock out. That always down the stretch, especially against Kansas City. Buffalo had those guys really out and against the ropes last year, but it doesn't take that much time. So I think you're going to have to see some teams finish with the strong run game to just kind of get that clock ticking.
Agreed. And if you see a second half Trevor Lawrence, from last week, I think that's going to be definitely a tight ball game. But if
Yeah,
it's anything like he was in the first,
absolutely. If it happens, what do you say, Coach? Maybe meet me at the Waffle House, or
yeah, exactly.
you go to your
Yeah,
closest one, I'll go to mine.
I will. We can definitely we'll do a live stream out of the Waffle House. The
No better
Jaguars
way
get
to
it done.
celebrate. There's no better way to celebrate than a couple All-Americans. You know what I mean?
Indeed. Well, speaking of some spectacular play, though, and good decision making, you got Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, and the Giants going against the Eagles in Philadelphia. Eagles are a 7.5 point favorite, but they got Jalen Hurts back, and everybody's saying that he's good to go. But only time tells, and you see a guy that hasn't been playing. Now he's got to get back in, and it's a big, important game, divisional playoff. One game away from the NFC Championship. Who knows what's going to happen? But the guy's a freak. Guy squats over 600 pounds, so you can't really count him out ever. So, Coach, what do you think? I think that, again, the Giants can knock off the Eagles if it stays close.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and as in coaching, I'm a big believer in momentum. And both KC and the Eagles having that week to recover. Sometimes that leads to coming out with a little rust. And I think the Giants are kind of catching them at a good time. The thing too with their head coach, man, he is he's one of those guys that when he walks in the room, the toughness level of the whole room steps up. You know what I mean? And I think that you've seen what he's done before, Brian Daboll, what he did at Buffalo and help limit Josh Allen's turnovers. And then Josh Allen, without him this year, he's doubled his turnover ratio, and vice versa. with Danny Dimes, he was one of those guys that was kind of leading, whatever year he first started, he was kind of in the lead as far as turnovers, to touchdown ratio. And, this year it's almost 4-1. So I think you're seeing the coaching really stand out. And the Giants are dangerous, man. They're a very physical football team. They have one of the top running backs in the league, with Saquon Barkley. And those guys, they're just feeling it. They barely they barely lost to the Eagles on the final game of the season with backups. So that's gotta create some good momentum and some good feeling and going in there. The thing I would be the most nervous about was being those ushers in that football game, because you're giving the Philadelphia Eagle fans, all day to tailgate to go to this game, man, trying to get those people out of the stadium at the end. Whew, man, that is
yeah.
I'd
I'd like to have a bet on the over/under how many people are going to be in that jail cell at the stadium by the end of the game.
That brig is going to be loaded by the end of the game, right? The over/under on that, exactly. I'll put all my money on the over, man. That's going to be something else. But I agree with you. I think it's going to come down to the end too, and I just think up front the Giants' offensive line and their rushing game. I think those guys are going to keep it tight at the end, and I think you're going to see a Danny Dimes, maybe a run, or maybe a Statue of Liberty, man. Something methodical that's gonna give those guys the edge, and I do believe they slip out of there with a victory, and it would be one of the monumental things for Giant fans, especially how difficult they've had the last several years since Eli's pretty much retired.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point, actually, about expecting a run from Daniel Jones. So this game right now is the highest ever combined rushing yards of two quarterbacks in a playoff game. And I definitely think, you brought up a good point with the offensive line. You got Saquon Barkley, who's just a stud, but then you mix in the Daniel Jones runs, you're going to take some pressure, off of that offense going against that defense. They got Eagles have Hassan Reddick. He's got 16 sacks on the season. He's just a monster of a man. So if Daniel Jones isn't throwing the ball all the time, take that out of the equation, right? You can't get sacked if you're doing a design run. I mean, you can tackle for a loss, but at the same time, you can add that mix up and you just have that extra threat. And, we'll see what happens with Jalen Hurts. I imagine he's still going to be running the ball. That first run, the stadium's going to blow the roof off, even though there's no roof. It's going to be nuts over there. So I think if the Giants utilize all of their strengths, and really all of their strengths, unfortunately, in my mind, is Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, they're gonna be all right in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to have to go old school with it, smash it, keep Jalen Hurts on the sidelines as long as possible. And like I said, with that rust factor, that is quite possible. They're definitely going to have to shut down the receiving core there of Philly, which is not going to be an easy deal. But I think with Dexter Lawrence there in the middle of that defense, man, they can make it a tough day if they want.
Yeah, agreed. So going from great potential for offensive line in this game to not so great offensive line potential, moving over to the Bengals at the Bills, 3 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday on CBS. And right now, there are 3 offensive linemen that are not playing in this game for the Bengals. So I think that's going to have a major impact on Joe Burrow, his ability to get it out to Jamar Chase, Higgins, Hurst. And then I think it'll limit also Joe Mixon's running ability. So the Bills have everything in their favor, I think, for this game. You would have gone back to the game that they played. I said Bengals win. But with all the stuff that's coming out, I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to get over on this one.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Coach. I think if you looked at any other group, if you looked at the secondary and said 3 guys were going to be out, that would probably be the top, the first thing they're talking on all the sports channels. But, or 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 receivers, that's all they'd be talking about, But I think, the offensive line it's that gang that it gets the least amount of talk, but it's the most important, and especially when you get to playoff season, man. whoever can keep their quarterback, whatever quarterback's jersey is the most clean after the game, is probably going to be the successful one. And, I think that's why the Bengals were able to come right back last year. Is they really put a lot of money into that offensive line. And, see the guys that are out for today, I think that's going to make a huge impact. And it's going to be a wild atmosphere there in Buffalo. That they've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. And we'll see what happens. I like a high scoring shootout, but I think Buffalo is going to pull it out in the end in this.
Yeah, definitely. They're a 5.5-point favorite. You look at Josh Allen, the guy just has everything going for him throughout the whole season. Great story as well. But you got Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and you got a power back really in Singletary. Watching him, a couple weeks ago and just seeing every time they gave him the ball, he was getting something like 8 yards a carry, and wasn't able to sustain that the whole time. But those first few bursts, I mean, you give that him, it definitely gets everybody thinking run. Then you get it out to Diggs, and next thing you know, Bills are on a roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing too with with the Bengals, it was just a tough break for those guys because I guess at the end of the season they didn't get to play that game with Buffalo. Had they won, that game would be played there. So, it's a tough situation as you're watching this game, especially if you're a Bengals fan. I think you would have to feel really disheartened about the whole situation because you guys pretty much did all the right things, and the NFL didn't reward you one bit with doing the right thing. So it's got to be a tough issue for the Bengal faithful, and I know that they would have loved to have had a home playoff game there, and I can almost say that if it was there, that 5.5 swing would probably be right on the other side. You'd probably have them favored close to that if they were playing, had that home field advantage. So tough break, but that's what happens in the league sometimes.
Yeah, we could do a whole nother podcast about just that situation. I remember watching everything going down, unfortunately, with Hamlin and everybody standing around in the stands waiting for some type of news. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's played in different things. You don't have that home field advantage. It's always cold in Buffalo. I don't know if it's snowing up there. I don't think it is. I think it's more on the West Coast or snowing. The East Coast not doing as much. They're not going to have any snowballs being thrown at these guys.
Right.
So I think it'll still be an awesome game to watch. But again, that offensive line, unless they got guys that can give him, Joe Burrow that time, I just don't see the Bengals getting over. And I really had them favorited getting, going to the championship, not the Super Bowl championship, but the conference championship.
AFC,
yeah. And not anymore just because of all the stuff that's kind of come out. So,
without a doubt, Coach.
Moving on to the last game of the weekend, quote unquote, America's team versus the 49ers. I got the Niners all the way in this one. I don't think Dak Prescott is going to be able to get it done. And, everybody used to talk about Zeke Elliott. You look at his stats, they've gone down every single year. He still gets good yards, but in terms of his yards per carry, I think he's not even at 4 yards per carry now, as opposed to every season before being 4 or above. And then Brock Purdy, just, I don't know what you call him. He ain't got no nicknames like Danny Dimes or Vanilla Vic, but the guy has put on a show. And, you got guys, Deebo Samuel, you can get it out to. And then, of course, if you need to, Christian McCaffrey. Just put the ball in his hands. He's going to get you what you need. So I definitely think the Niners are going to cover it, and win. They're favored by 4 points. But Coach K, what do you expect out of this game? Do you think Dak Prescott's going to keep rolling like they did last week, or do you think it's going to kind of sputter right here?
Well, I think one of the oddest things about this whole weekend is if you look at the most senior quarterback of this whole group, left, Dak Prescott is the veteran here at 29 years old. So it's just showing that the league's kind of evolving into maybe a younger man's game a little bit. So, with that and with the things he's had to deal with, man, it's phenomenal. His story with the injury, he's hard to pull against. And but the way the 49ers have been playing, their defense, I mean, that defense to me reminds me of some of the best defenses. You never see those guys really give up a huge play unless it's like, an amazing catch or something like that. Those guys, anytime that ball is caught, you just see, a gang of guys ready, to make the tackle. And I can see why their coach, I think it's DeMeco Ryans, is their defensive coordinator, why he's getting a lot of looks, because, man, he's just putting in those guys in a great area to succeed. I think what this one's going to come down to is who can block those ends better, because, you got a 49er defensive line that is just loaded with first-round talent. I believe they got 5 or 6 guys that were drafted first or second round. And then on the other side, man, Parsons, man, seeing that guy live and in person, I mean, he doesn't have the stature of like a one of your bigger defensive ends. To me, he kind of looks more built like a Ray Lewis, but man, that guy he's unblockable there. Maybe it's because he has more of a low center of gravity or whatever, but I think it's going to come down to who can block better there. And, I think it's going to be a good game. The 49ers have been rolling. And like you said, Purdy, I don't think any rookie quarterback was Roethlisberger. Was he a rookie when he led those guys to a Super Bowl, or did they just have a really good record and fail there at the end? Because I remember when he first started and he got in there, he had his guys roll really far. But
that's a good question. That is. I'm trying to think. My brother's a diehard Steelers fan, so he'd definitely be able to answer that one.
He would know that, but that's who it kind of reminds me of. And I think this game is very evened out. The Cowboys definitely got to be coming in with a lot of swagger after that game. Getting that monkey off of their back of not winning a road game since '92. I think this was going to come down to coaching. And you got Kyle Shanahan. I mean, he is one of the best play calling coaches. It's amazing that the Washington football team ever let that guy get out of their grips. So
you look at the Niners coaching staff. Almost every single one of them has coached at the Commanders, Washington at some point in their career.
Yeah, without a doubt. As a fan of those guys, you got to be kind of licking your wounds, thinking, what could have been. The franchise that's had so many good coaches go in and out, they just can't seem to score on the right one.
Yeah, and I wonder, this is kind of just Coach Hutchings' ADHD thought. I wonder if Joey Bosa contacted Nick and said, "Hey, man, don't throw your helmet. It'll cost you the game."
Yeah, that's right, man. That was a very big deal with what happened in that game. I'm pretty sure, another thing Nick probably learned from Big Brother Joey. You know what I mean? I'm sure that I'm sure he's got that in his mind of what not to do. But I think the Niners, I think they will they'll continue and they'll be playing in the championship next week. I think it's going to be
I got them getting there. That since just watching them play all season, I thought the Niners were definitely going to get to the championship and potentially into the Super Bowl. But you never know as it comes down to next week. But we'll see who those teams are. And then next week we'll have those 2 games, and then we'll get a little break before the Super Bowl, which is also a great time to be watching out for some professional wrestling coming up.
So, yeah, that's right.
Well, Coach K, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely good discussion here about these teams. Remember, America, if you're going to bet, use your mind. Don't listen to us. Think about what you would do. And we don't offer any betting advice on here, but we just try to dissect these teams and see what we think would actually go on. But again, NFL is a crazy sport or a crazy organization, and you never know what's going to happen with 2 minutes left and how these officials can call games and really change the trajectory of the game based on one call here or there. So,
absolutely. You never know who the refs are betting on. Remember that, guys.
Exactly. Yeah, they got FanDuel or DraftKings in their pocket or on their other mic that they're talking to. So, well, Coach K, really appreciate you. Totem Pole Nation wants you to check out Cultivate Wellness for all your CBD needs. They're a fantastic company. Cultivate with the K. Check them out, cultivatewellness.com. give them a call. They'll discuss anything that you would like about it. And Coach K, we're definitely going to have a recap here after these games, and we'll discuss what's going on for the next week. So I hope to talk to you soon.
You got it, my man. Like I said, I got Jacksonville going against Buffalo the following week, and then I got the Giants going against the 49ers. I don't know. Let's go. Let's see what happens. What was your final totem over there?
So I got the Jaguars eking it out. I just think that the Chiefs have let down some big games this season. The Giants are on a roll. So Jags, Giants, Bills, and Niners. That's going to be my top four. I'm definitely not going to parlay that. But at the same time, that's who I think. I mean, the real one for me is the Jaguars and Chiefs, because the Chiefs come out and just start rolling, if they play at their top caliber, it definitely could. But like I said, Trevor Lawrence, man, that guy's got a lot of talent, and if he just plays like he did in the second half, they've got a really good chance of winning this game.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So, all right, 2 hours away before kickoff. So, Coach, you have a wonderful day down there. Enjoy that scenery, get in that hot tub. Don't get too turned up. And yeah, man, I will talk to you soon. And Totem Pole Nation, thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
All right. Thank you, sir.